What's up everyone, my name is Alpha and today we're back with something I haven't done in a little bit. So we're on Pokemon Omega Ruby and today's challenge will be can I be Pokemon Omega Ruby Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Zinnia'S shiny team. So obviously Zinnia doesn't have a shiny team, but we're going to add shiny elements to this team. Zinnia is actually the protagonist or antagonist in the Delta episodes in Pokemon Omega Ruby and Alpha Sapphire. She's actually cool, I actually really like her, and she's actually a pretty cool character and she has a decent team. She has a Whismur. I don't know why she has a Whismur, but her team consists of basically only dragon type Pokemon, so they're going to be pretty difficult to actually train up, but once they get to the end, surprise surprise, none of them evolve into the end of the game basically, so we have to train up some really weak Pokemon, and I thought it's going to be a pretty interesting challenge with that premise. And on top of that, we got to shiny hunt whatever is available to us, so it's kind of annoying. But anyways, if you guys are new to this, Hardcore Nuzlocke on screen are the rule sets right now. You can only catch one Pokemon per route, they must be shiny, and they must coincide with the theme of the video to use Zinnia'S team. So this is the team on screen included with the Whismur. I don't know why she has a Whismur, maybe there's some lore behind it. Besides that, each of my Pokemon only has one life, so if they ever faint, they are dead. We gotta box them, we gotta delete them, all that shenanigans. There's also a level cap which we can't go above until we face up against the gym leader or the Elite Four, which actually correlates to the level cap. On top of that, we have to play on set mode. There are no items inside a battle. Not a lot of fun. Actually, the fun part of the challenge is that each of my Pokemon will be nicknamed after you guys in the comments. So thanks so much for leaving a comment in my previous challenge video. If you guys want to be nicknamed after a future Pokemon, just drop in the comments and hopefully I'll pick yours. Still hung up on the gaming awards. I know it's been like a couple days since the gaming awards happened, but honestly, kind of disappointed. I was looking for Elden Ring DLC or anything that I was interested in. The only thing I really got out of the gaming awards is that there's a lot of Final Fantasy, Persona, there's a lot of space things. Anyways, this is not a gaming award video. Let's get back into it. Our first Pokemon, since we can't actually find Goomies or Norbat, we're gonna actually give ourselves both those Pokemon. Norbat's gonna be in the form of an egg, which interestingly enough, I actually messed up. I was supposed to give it so I hatched it in a later time, but I actually made it so it hatched like almost immediately. So I get a Norbat really off the gate, so it's kind of funny. So Norbat just popped out and I'm like, well, that kind of ruined part of the video, but you know what, let's keep going. Anyways, we face off against our rival north of New Barktown. Is it New Barktown? What's the town called? Petalburg? No, Petalburg's the other side. Anyways, we face off against a rival with Mudkip, and we almost lost this fight, which could have been really bad with our Goomy. So Goomy only has Absorb and Bubble, so it's gonna be pretty bad. We're gonna move out and face off against this double battle fight, and Norbat isn't that great either. They're both really weak Pokemon. So we're gonna have a bit of a struggle as we face out against the first gym leader in the game, Roxanne. Roxanne's gonna be the rock type gym leader, and we're gonna start the battle off against her using my Goomy. At least Goomy's bubble is like 40 power and not 20 power like the Absorb. So I'm able to actually do some chip damage against the Geodude, and since it's 4 times weak, we shouldn't have too much problem as we 2-shot the Geodude and waste her potion. Her next Pokemon will be a Nose Pass, which I critted, which isn't saying too much, but I'm able to absorb into it, and it, lucky enough, doesn't use Rock Tomb like in a row, so I'm actually able to chip down the Nose Pass and eventually go for a bubble and knock out the Nose Pass as ready to beat down Roxanne. And yeah, could have been really bad. As we head into Burn Turf Tunnel, there's gonna be only Whismur in here, so it's pretty much free. So we're gonna start shiny hunting out here and get ourselves a shiny Whismur. And yeah, we can't evolve it. It doesn't evolve into an Exploud, so we're gonna actually catch it, add it to her team, just like Ash Ketchum. She does not want to evolve her Pokemon for some reason, so it's actually the only one she doesn't evolve, so I gotta give her credit for that. As we catch ourselves a Whismur, we're going to face off against the next gym leader in the game. We're going to face off against Brawly, which Brawly should be easy as we do have a Norbat. And Norbat has, lucky enough, it has Gust as a move. So we're going to start the battle off against Brawly using my Norbat and one-shot his Machop using Gust. And then from there, I think I 2-shot the Makita as he goes for bulk up. And yeah, the battle's over. So we end up beating down Brawly. It's not too difficult of a fight. We also get ourselves, we're going to face off against a rival in routes 111, 110, something like that. We get ourselves Dragon Breath for our Goomy, which is going to be the best move we're going to have for into the 7th gym badge. Anyways, from there we're going to move out and face off against Watson. Watson's going to be the 3rd gym leader in the game, and we don't have any really idea to work on him, so we don't have anything to chase him. We don't have Power Punch or Bodos, so old-fashioned way, we're going to use my Whismur to start the battle to chip down the Magnemite. I'm here to actually activate his Super Potion, so that means he doesn't have any more heals. He's going to go for a Boat Switch and switch out to his Soundproofing Voltorb, so that means I can't use any Echo Voice against him. I go out to my Goomy, and Goomy does have Dragon Breath, but unfortunately he's going to Volt Switch immediately out into his Magneton. And from there, I want to scout out what it wants to do. It wants to confuse me, which is hopefully it doesn't land that, as I'm able to actually weaken him down and to just avoid the supersonics, which actually works out for me. As I'm chipping down to low HP, I'm able to eventually protect again against the Magnemite and then Dragon Breath to knock him out as he misses another supersonic. I'm just gonna keep doing this as it's actually working. So I'm able to knock out the Magneton, activate my Oran Berry. From there, his next opponent will be the Magnemite. I do outspeed him, and Dragon Breath will knock him out, as he has no more potions since he already used it up. He then goes out to his Voltorb, which I stay in. I go for Dragon Breath against him, and 3-shot him, looks like, as I was predicting Volt Switch eventually, but he actually just stays in, just kept he went for 4 different charges, and then didn't attack me, as we knock him out with a Dragon Breath. We ended up beating down Watson and getting our 3rd gym badge without losing a Pokemon. I thought I was going to lose someone actually, but Whismur wants to evolve, not going to happen. As we head into Fall Arbor Town and get ourselves the TM for Dig, we're also going to move into Route 114, and then start shunning out here. And out here is obviously going to be the only Pokemon we can get. Out here is going to be a Swablu. Swablu is going to be a nice encounter as we get ourselves a shiny golden Swablu. Catch it and add it to our team. We're not going to be able to evolve until much later, so Swablu is a nice member on my team as we move out and face off against Flannery next. Flannery is going to be the fire type gym leader in the game. We're set to battle off against her using my Gumi. Obviously, it's the only thing really on my team that could do anything. Gumi is able to bubble into the Slugma and eventually 2-shot into the Slugma, as the next opponent will be a Nummo, and go for a bubble and doesn't 1-shot it, which is kind of pathetic since it's a water type move and Nummo is like 4 times weak to water moves. So it's going to go for Amnesia as I paralyze it with Dragon Breath, which works out pretty well for us, as I'm able to activate Rain Dance, and then Bubble will actually not knock him out. Wow, Bubble didn't even knock him out. That kind of sucks, as I'm able to get a Rain Dance off against him as he goes from Earth Power. Works out for me as I'm able to go for a Bubble and knock out the Nummo. And from there, his next opponent will be a Torkoal, which I end up doing some decent damage against, as he's going to set up Sunny Day. I'm able to Dragon Breath into him, and then I thought for some reason to heal up again, but I'm able to just go for a Rain Dance, take a Body Slam, and then Dragon Breath to knock out the Torkoal, as we're to beat down Flannery and get ourselves the 4th gym badge in the game. From there, we're going to move out into the Scientist Lab. I gave myself the Jaw Fossil at the same expected time as you would get the other fossils, so we're going to get ourselves a shiny Tyrant eventually, and we're going to add that to our team, which is going to be really nice, as our team is actually rounding up pretty well, as in my Tyrant's actually really strong. As we're going to face off against the next gym leader in the game, we're going to face off against Norman. We're going to start the battle off against Norman using my Gumi. Now, Gumi's here just to protect, but I went for Dragon Breath for some reason. So I take a Yawn, that means I got to switch out. I'm going to switch out into my Tyrant, which gets Yawned also. I'm made a Bodos into him, switch out to my Gumi. And from there, I could finally set up the Protect stall, which works out. I'm going to Paralyze into the Slacking, go out to my Tyrant, which will eventually knock him out with a Bite. And then from there, his next one will be a Vigoroth, which encores my Tyrant, and I'm able to bite into the Vigoroth twice. And his next one will be a Slacking, which I end up just going for a Bite. He doesn't go for Retaliate, which I was scared of, but it goes for Swagger. So from there, I go out to my Gumi and then Protect stall him. I go for Dragon Breath, and eventually I messed up and got Swagger. So I got to switch on to my Tyrant. Looking up Tyrant's strong enough to go for Bodos and Bite to knock out the Slackings. We're able to beat down the Slacking, also beat down Norman. Get ourselves the 5th gym badge in the game, and then from there, you might be wondering why I'm not using the other Pokemon that much, but this is the result of using the other Pokemon. They're not strong at all. Like, look at this. Look at this damage. This is terrible. But from there, we're going to move out after the Weather Fortress. We're face off against a rival, and Swablu at least is able to knock out a Swampert for us, or a Marsh Stomp for us. As from there, eventually my Swablu will evolve into an Altaria, which finally means we have some power on our team. So from there, we're going to face off against Winona. Winona's going to be the flying type gym leader, and we're set to battle off against it using my Tyrant. Tyrant's able to go for a Rock Tomb and knock out a Swallow for us. From there, she's going to switch out to our Altaria, which I completely forgot about Earthquake, so I just went for a Rock Tomb against her. And I'm like, uh-oh, I gotta switch out. So from there, after that, after her Conagore, I could go out to my own Altaria, and Altaria versus Altaria. It looked like I win this. I get it paralyzed, and it goes for Roost, and I end up knocking him out. So we ended up knocking out Winona's Altaria, as from there, her next opponent will be a Skarmory, which actually does a lot of damage to me. So I gotta be very careful. I go out to my Gumi against him, and Gumi's able to Rain Dance and then go for a Bubble. It does some nice damage at least, but he's already getting chipped down so badly. So I go out to my Norbert, and Norbert's just, again, not doing a lot of damage either. It's Steel Wing, and then it'll raise the defense of itself. So I'm like, gotta go to my Tyrant, and Tyrant also doesn't do too much. It's about to lose to a Skarmory as it goes for a Hyper Potion. I'm like, uh-oh, This is looking really bad for me. I go into my Whismer as my last ditch effort. Whismer is able to avoid the Steel Wing and then go for Echo Voice, and it works out. As it gets paralyzed, I made an Echo Voice once again, and I'm like, okay, this is working. It just gotta land the Echo Voice. As it goes for Sanitech, it lands it again, knocks out the Skarmory for us, which is crazy. So Echo Voice Whismer actually works out, as I'm able to take a Water Post and then Echo Voice to one-shot the Pelipper with my Whismer. And I'm like, what is this? How did this even happen? As we're able to beat down Winona with my Whismer, essentially. So from there, the level cap jumped up, so I'm able to evolve my Tyron into Tyrantrum. And from there, Tyrantrum is so much nicer, so much more power than Altaria and everything else. I mean, it's just start using it like crazy. I use it on Mount Pyre, I use it against my rival. Like, it's just so much more fun to use. Even in the Team Rocket hideout, I did get Sliggoo with Muddy Water at least, so we're actually face off against the camera with Courtney, and then it's my camera killer. From there, we can move on and face off against the next gym leader in the game, Tate and Liza. We're gonna start the battle off against Tate and Liza using my Tyron and also my Sliggoo. I'm gonna crunch into the Slow Rock and one-shot it as yeah, the battle's basically over. As I crunch again, knock out the Lunatone. So we end up beating down Tate and Liza in like 2 turns. From there, we're going to face off against Maxie next. Maxie's going to start the battle off against us using a Mightyena without Intimidate for some reason. So, okay. I'm going to go out to my Tyrantrum to Dragon Claw and knock him out in one shot. His next one will be a Weezing, which I almost one-shot, but I get poisoned with his Sludge Bomb as I 2-shot him, and then from there, his next one will be a Crobat, which I don't have a rock move for, so I go for Dragon Claw once again. I feel like I'm able to survive any moves as he goes for Acrobatics. I survive it, I'm able to Dragon Claw and knock out the Crobat, as his next Pokemon and final Pokemon will be that Camera. So I switch out into my Altaria. I expect an Earth Power, but I decided to go for Rock Slide for some reason. I'm like, that doesn't even make any sense. So I go for an Earthquake against him. So lucky enough, I'm able to survive a second Rock Slide, but he doesn't go for that. He goes for Yawn. So I switch out to my Sliggoo, and Sliggoo is able to survive any move as he goes for Yawn, and Muddy Water will knock him out. So we end up being that Maxie. Maxie's just something special. Anyways, from there we can move out and face off against Primal Groudon, and with my Altaria. Altaria actually just walls it completely as I'm able to go for Parasong and then Roost Up, and he goes to sleep, and I'm like, okay, let me just switch out into my other flying type. Parasong would knock out the Groudon as we're ready to beat down Primal Groudon, which works out pretty well for us as we're going to move out and face off against the final gym leader in the game. We're going to face off against Wallace. Wallace is going to be the water type gym leader, and he's going to start the battle off against us using, I love this. Well, I got my Tyrantrum in the back, and Tyrantrum is able to just one-shot it with Dragon Claw. Actually gets Sweet Kiss, kind of annoying, but I break through it, one-shot him at least. His next one will be a Wish Cast, which I got to switch out because it has Earthquake. But unfortunately, he goes for Mud Sport out of everything, so I'm like, okay, this is not making any sense. I go for an Earthquake with my Altaria into Dragon Pulse to knock him out in 3 shots, actually. As his next one will be his Milotic, and I'm like, oh, this thing does have Ice Beam. Let me just double check if it has Ice Beam with Roost, and it does have Ice Beam. I'm like, okay, so who can I go out to? I gotta go out to my Whisper. I gotta sack it. It's the only thing that's on my team that I was hoping it maybe, miss a Hydro Pump and I could Echo Voice it, but it doesn't work. Then I go out to my Tyrantrum, which will Dragon Claw into him, survive a Ice Beam pretty well, and then from there Dragon Claw to 2-shot him, knock him out. As the next one will be a Celio, which I was pretty confident this thing wouldn't do any damage to me, as he goes for Encore, and I'm like, yeah, this thing would not do any damage to me. So we're going to 2-shot the Celio, and his final Pokemon will be a Sea King, which we will 2-shot as well, as we end up beating down Wallace, but losing our first Pokemon in the run, which is going to be my Whisper, which I kind of assume is going to be Whisper anyways. From there, we have access into Waterfalls, so we decided to go into Meteor Falls and then start hunting for our final shiny Pokemon. The final Pokemon we're going to have on the team is going to be a shiny Bagon, which eventually we found. It took me a long time to get, I'm not going to lie, I don't know why. It's probably the worst hunt in the game. So we get ourselves a shiny Bagon, at least we're going to catch it, add to our team. As from there, we're going to evolve my Sliggoo in the rain into a Goodra, and then evolve my Shelgon into a Salamence. Now, I'm actually going to change the level cap because I changed it to 55 because I thought that's when Salamence evolved, but I'm going to switch it back to the old regular 53. And it works out for us, as from there we're going to move on into Victory Road and face off against a rival in here. We're going to beat down Wally with our newly acquired Northern, which is really nice for us. And from there we're going to face off against the Elite Four. So we're going to make our way into the Elite Four and then face off against Sydney. Sydney's going to be the first Elite Four member we're going to face off against, which we're going to use my Northern against his Mightyena. And it works out pretty well for us. I forgot to get the Fire Blast and Flamethrower team, which is kind of annoying, but I also didn't get the Ice Beam TM, so it's all so annoying. Anyways, I go for Northern to Air Slash into the Mightyena, which works out pretty well for us as we 2-shot into him. I decided to go for Echo Voice boost up. I was really in love with Echo Voice for some reason, but eventually I end up knocking out the Mightyena, but his next Pokemon will be a Shift Tree. I take a Fake Out, and then from there I go for an Air Slash to knock him out. His next opponent after that will be a Sharpedo. I could have risked it, honestly. Lucky enough, I'm able to go out to my Altaria and Moonblast, one-shot the Sharpedo. His next opponent will be an Absol, which survives the Moonblast and almost knocks me out with a Night Splash. So I gotta go out to my Salamence, and lucky enough, Salamence, good debut. I'm able to go for a Fly and knock out the Absol in one shot. His final opponent will be a Cacturne. I go for a Fly once again, and then doesn't go for a Spiky Shield, as I'm able to go for a Fly and knock him out. We end up knocking out the Cacturne and beating down Sydney, and now we can move on and face out against Phoebe. Now Phoebe's gonna start the battle off against us using a Dusclops, which I go for Noivern. Noivern's able to just two-shot into him, hoping for a flinch, but I get confused. But lucky enough, I don't hit myself in confusion, as we're able to knock out the Dusclops. Her next opponent will be a Dusknoir. Went wide for Air Slash, looking for a flinch. It doesn't even get it off, as I hit myself and then get hit with an Ice Punch. So I gotta switch out to my Salamence, which get Ice Punch once again. Yeah, Intimidate didn't really lower the attack stat, I'm not gonna lie. So I got two out my Tyrantrum, which will crunch and one-shot the Dusknoir, which is, okay, this thing's powerful. From there, her next opponent will be Sableye, which I go out to my Altaria. Altaria is able to Moonblast twice into the Sableye to knock him out, which is really nice. Her last two opponents will be two Bayonets, so I go out to my Tyrantrum. Tyrantrum is able to crunch into the Bayonet and knock him out, as it's gonna grudge me, so I was just trying to avoid it, but at the end of the day, I have one Elixir, I should be fine. As from there, I'm able to knock out the Bayonet with a Dragon Claw and knock out Phoebe, which ended up being pretty easy. From there, we're gonna move on and face off against Glacia next. Glacia is gonna be the third and Ice type Elite Four member. We're gonna start the battle off against her using my Tyrantrum. And finally, Tyrantrum has a Rock move, as I'm able to Rock Tomb and knock out the Glalie for us, which is huge. Her next opponent will be a Frostas, which I outspeed a Frostas and then Rock Tomb to knock him out. Her next opponent after that will be another Frostas. I Rock Tomb again and knock him out. As her next opponent will be her Ace, which is going to be a Walrein. I go for a Rock Tomb. I do not knock him out in one shot, as he goes for Blizzard and almost kills me. I'm like, oh, I'm playing around too much. Lucky enough, I made the Earthquake and knock out the Walrein. As her next opponent will be her Glalie, her final Glalie, as I go out into my other Pokemon. I'm gonna go out into my Goodra, and Goodra is able to take an Ice Shard pretty easily. Take multiple of them, actually. I'm looking for Paralyzes. Doesn't work out, as I go out into my Salamence, which will take an Ice Shard with Intimidate. Actually doesn't take a Hail, so it actually works out for us, as we're able to knock him out using my Steel Wing on my Salamence, as we're able to beat down Glacia. And now we can move on and face off against Drake. Dragon on Dragon, we're face off against Drake's Dragon type Pokemon. Against his Altaria, I'm going to use my Tyrantrum. And Tyrantrum Dragon Claws and one-shot his Altaria. His next opponent will be his Flygon, which I outspeed. One-shot him as well. His next opponent after that will be his Salamence, actually. This thing's kind of scary, but I decided to go for a Rock Tomb and avoid the Dragon Rush, which works out for us. As from there, Dragon Claw will knock out the Salamence, and then from there, his next opponent will be his Kingdra, which I decided to stay in, and then he goes for Yawn. It gets really annoying. I go out to my Salamence. Salamence can Dragon Claw at least and knock him out, which is nice. And then from there, his final opponent will be his final Flygon, which I go for Dragon Claw and one-shot him. So, actually, a pretty easy fight. From there, I'm just going to heal up my Pokemon, switch up the movesets just a little bit, because against Steven Stone, he's going to be a little harder than everyone else. So, we're going to start the battle off against Steven Stone using my Goodra against him. I don't know why Goodra doesn't have hydration, but it can really bite me in the butt. So I'm going to Rain Dance up against the Skarmory, and then just Muddy Water into him to two-shot him as he poisons me. But unfortunately, I don't have hydration, as I'm just going to stay poisoned, and then I miss up Muddy Water too. So I'm like, well, that sucks. I'm going to knock out the Skarmory at least, as his next opponent will be an Aggron. I want to stay in because I don't want anyone else to take this Dragon Claw, which unfortunately my Goodra takes it, but the poison would knock me out, so hydration really ruined that for me. As from there, I'm going to go out to my Salamence against the Aggron. I'm able to go for a Crunch to break its 30 and then Earthquake to knock him out. His next opponent will be a Cradily, which I decided to stay in and go for Fly against him, as he goes for Confuse Rays out of everything. So I got to switch out to my Tyrantrum to crunch into him and then Confuse Ray myself. I stayed in anyways against the Cradily and lose out on a lot of HP. I almost actually knocked myself out, so that was a pretty bad play by me. So I go out to my Noivern. Luckily enough, Noivern's able to just go for Air Slashes against the Cradily and eventually knock out the Cradily with the Confusion on. As his next opponent will be a Claydol. I go out to my Tyrantrum expecting him to go for a Light Screen, and I can outspeed him, go for a Crunch, and knock him out. And with this level up, I actually get Head Smash. I decided to just learn Head Smash with my Tyrantrum, because I know our model could be a little scary if I don't get rid of him. So I use Head Smash, knock out our model, and also knock out my Tyrantrum, which is, you know what? It'll be a fair trade as I go out to my Noivern against the Metagross. And this is why, you know, if I had Flamethrower, it would have been an easy fight. This thing really wants to go for Giga Impact against me, and lucky enough, I'm able to flinch it 3 times. I'm going for the Jirachi effects. It gets the Giga Impact off against me, and I survive against him. And then from there, I'm able to Air Slash into him, and then I can actually keep air slashing and roosting as he keeps wanting to use Giga Impact. It runs out of heals already, so I could go for an Echo Voice, and eventually that Echo Voice would knock out the Metagross, as it comes full circle as my Norbert with Echo Voice is able to knock out the Mega Metagross on the other end. We end up being down Steven Stone with my Noivern, so we're gonna eventually end off the challenge with 3 deaths. 3 unfortunate deaths, 1 self-inflicted, the other one I couldn't avoid because obviously if I just have hydration on my Guja, and then Whismur was gonna go down anyways, but I was really hoping I could make it to the end. But at the end of the day, we did beat Pokemon Omega Ruby Hardcore Nuzlocke using only Zinnia'S Shiny Team. So, you know, we end up beating the challenge anyways. So that will be it for me today. Thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I hope you guys all enjoyed this video. If you guys can, please leave a like and subscribe to my channel. It means a lot to me. Anyways, my name's been Alpha, and I hope you guys all have a great day, and I'm out. Peace.